No break for anybody. Okay, we're going to talk about the future of music on Web3 with Osherove, a developer community leader. A little introduction. The music industry faces many challenges related to... You want to do it? All right, he will do it. Everyone, enjoy.
Thank you very much. Okay, do I have a clicker? Okay. Wonderful. Let's see if it works. Does anybody here play any music at home? Does anybody here make money from music? Try to make money? Wonderful. Okay, so you'll understand some of my troubles here. My name is Osherove. I am a technologist and I'm also a musician, and I'm the founder of Legato, which is a platform for licensing music on Web3. And I actually want to start with some of the problems that we see with the traditional music industry today. And I say that as a musician, as a failed musician, okay? If you've ever tried to be inside the music industry, you'll know that it's a bureaucratic nightmare. It can, as a new musician, if you try to register your song, for example, and you just look up, where do I register my song? Just in the UK, this is some of the diagrams you're going to see. Now, I'm a technologist. I've been in the software business over 20 years, and I have no idea what's going on here. So imagine a non-technologist trying to just look up some of these diagrams. When do you get money, from who, under what type of license, from radio, from TV, from other types? It is a very difficult place to get into. So musicians, independent musicians, will go to labels to take care of all the bureaucratic problems. And of course, on the way, they give up a lot of the money that they are supposed to earn. And in other places, musicians just don't register their songs in all of the places that they could because it's such a nightmare. Or they'll pay a company to do it for them, and they'll pay a lot of money to do it. Because of that, we have a lot of other problems because it's a very old industry. For example, rights tracking. Remember all these companies we saw before? Each company in different countries has its own database of music rights and royalties, which means that if you want to get paid in multiple different countries, you have to register your song in multiple different databases. And God forbid if the royalties have to change at some point and you have to update them. And suddenly the databases, which can be managed on Excel, just so you know, in different places, and some of them on Notepad, have to update. So it can take months, sometimes even years, just to settle differences if we ever sell rights to a song or if we change the royalty structure on a song. And that means that the payment system is very slow. It can take from 6 months to 18 months just to get paid in the music industry today. If you sell music for a TV or for a film, after you get the upfront payment. And as a musician, you don't also get any kind of connection to the people that listen to your music. So you have no idea who bought your music, who's listening, who your fans are. You have to go and create shows just to see your fans. But there is lack of information, and it's built into the system. It's built in because the music industry is built on closed information. So they have all the incentive to keep the information from other people because information in music is power. And there have been multiple attempts to change the music industry. These are some of the dead companies and dead artifacts. One of them is the Global Repertoire Database, which was started by the music industry and failed because of politics. Everyone wanted control over this global database. Some of them are actually blockchain-based projects that have failed as well because they try to go to the big players instead of going to the independent players. The big players do not have any incentive to change. So, what do we have today because of all those problems? Well, one of the things we have today is a thing called music NFTs. What's a music NFT? Well, you've heard of NFTs like Bored Apes, etc., which are images. There's actually a niche of NFTs called music NFTs, in which you can actually sell a collectible version of your music. So instead of a picture, you get a picture and also an audio file. You do not get any rights to use the music. It is simply a collectible just like anything else. So it has the same problems and also the same kind of collector's behavior of whoever bought regular NFTs. But musicians that are selling music NFTs today have made money more than in streaming. There's also royalties and manual collectives. I'll explain what those are. So, music NFT market since 2020 has made over $170 million. This thing that almost nobody has heard of. 1,000 artists. That's how small the niche is. Now, the problem here is that there is a lot of missing technology in this world. So right now, music NFTs is the only way musicians can make money on Web3. There is no licensing. There is no royalty structure. One company that is trying to change it is called Royal. Some of you may have heard about it. They're trying to allow you to invest in music so you can buy royalties of a song using tokens. So they'll take a song from the existing world, tokenize the royalties on it on the recording side, which is a specialized streaming only, and allow you to purchase those tokens. And they're regulated. You can actually invest in songs this way. They're gated, so they decide who gets on the platform. It's only established artists that are making a lot of plays on Spotify, for example. But it's a start. It's a good start. Now there's this thing called artist collectives. So I'm sure most of you have not heard of this thing called Songcamp. Songcamp is a collection of 70 musicians that created a collection of 25 music NFTs and sold them on-chain and shared the revenue. And they made over $500,000 in about 3 months. And they did it as a collective, which means that they created these custom NFTs so they know how much shares each one gets from that money. And they did it all on-chain. So what you see here on the right is the on-chain distribution using a smart contract that pays the money. So you can see exactly who made what. This type of visibility, clarity, is something that people are running away from the traditional music industry and into Web3 trying to find something like this. But here's the problem. To create this, they need 6 developers just to create the infrastructure so they can work on it. So if you wanted to create something like this today, it will be very, very difficult because there is no infrastructure that supports this out of the box. But like them, a lot of artist collectives have been rising up in the past few months. And you can see some of them for different purposes. They're all acting as DAOs, which means that they allow you to invest in music or create or buy music NFTs or other things, and then share the revenue when you sell them. So they have a shared treasury, they can vote on things. It's pretty cool. But they all have the same problem. They are trying to find a good way to do this, and we don't have the right tooling for that today. If you think that the Web3 music scene is small, it's not. This is just a very small portion of it. As an example, just like you have OpenSea, there's a bunch of specialized music NFT marketplaces today. These are some of them. Just like streaming services, there's a bunch of music NFT streaming services today. None of them is making money. None of them is paying artists because they don't have a licensing solution. They are not allowed. They didn't get permission from the artists to sell their music, so they cannot pay them, so everything is free. And that's why I think one of the futures of this music is enabling licensing on Web3. There's DAOs, there's labels that are rising up, and they're all in this kind of situation where they're trying to create the infrastructure. There's a bunch of royalty solutions out there, not a lot. One of them is Legato, another one is Revelator that's also here in Israel. And they're trying to recreate or allow some of the money that you can make in Web2, put it on Web3. And that brings us to the future. So I'll have a minute and a half to talk about the future. It's very, very simple. So in the future, what I see, what I think is going to happen, is we're going to have artist collectives more and more, because we're going to get the infrastructure. Stuff like Legato, stuff like Revelator, I think it's going to be part of that future. So rev sharing, create shared catalog, create shared treasury, and getting rid of traditional labels. I think that's part of our future. This is an example of licensing. This is an example from Legato, of course. But the ability to buy a license will be, you'll be able to give anyone the opportunity to buy a license from you and share the splits with your collaborators with a click of a button. It's supposed to be this easy, and right now, it's basically impossible. There is nothing that does that except maybe one company out there. Back-end royalties, getting royalties after your music is actually aired on TV, etc. today is still not a solved problem. Royal is trying to do it just for streaming, but we're going to see, I think Revelator is going to be one of the innovators here because they're trying to bridge all of the types of royalties into Web3. We're going to see tracking and collections. So there's a project called ISCC Codes. It's a new standard that's trying to replace or add on top recording and writing codes in music. is to create a shared code with fingerprinting technology, and I think that's going to help tracking and allow getting payment later on in Web3. Collection societies like BMI and ASCAP, which today we have to use, in Israel it's called Akum, for example, will jump into Web3 and do enforcement. They will not have to do money collection because that's going to be taken care of with smart contracts. But enforcement will be taken care of through them, and social connecting with your users, your fans, is going to be taken care of by these platforms. Then we have distribution finally, and I'm not going to talk about that too much. Thank you very much, everybody. If you want to find out more, just hit me up after this talk, or just go to legatomusic.xyz. Thank you very much.